final preparations for a long-awaited 2021 NCAA Gymnastics opener. 4 teams, 3 in the top 25, ready to compete for the title of Best in Utah and springboard their collective seasons on hopeful championship trajectories. BYU, Utah, Southern Utah, and Utah State ready to go next on BYU TV. NCAA Women's Gymnastics live from the Maverick Center in West Valley City, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. Wherever and however you're connected, great to have you with us on BYU TV. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up with former gymnastics standout Mikkel Merkley, socially distanced in this COVID era, but tell you what, it's fantastic to be in this building with 1,700 fans and watching some elite gymnastics. Mikkel, now more than ever, each and every one of these competitors view this opportunity as a true privilege after what happened and their seasons were unfortunately shut down last March.
Yeah, I think so many times as athletes, you take season for granted. You just work so hard and this is what happens. But after the longest off-season ever, the girls are so excited for the privilege to be out here performing again.
And what a way to open the season. 3 top 25 teams, of course, the rivalry's intact. Many of these gymnasts grew up competing against each other, and that takes us to our showcase for the Best of Utah meet. But first, we flash back to a tri-meet on January 18th of 2020. Do you know how long ago that feels? It's been a year, but it feels
I know,
like
watching
much
these.
longer.
Yes.
BYU, UCLA, and Utah State in a 3-team showcase. We can do one better tonight, Mikkel, with the quad meet.
I can't wait. There was so much big gymnastics here tonight, and it is making me so excited for what we are about to see this evening.
Kyla Ross leading UCLA to a 197.425 score and a win in that tri-meet as part of our showcase. As Mikkel mentioned, the excitement is palpable, not just with the gymnasts, but with each and every one of the fans that are watching here in the Maverick Center and, of course, all of you watching on BYU TV. Now for our impact performers. There are several. We unfortunately can only choose one from each of these squads. We could be here all night talking about the impact on the Utah side alone. Crystal Issa leads us on, 2-time All-American. Mikkel, what do you like most about what she brings to the meet tonight?
Big scores and big gymnastics. She is so consistent. If you look through her scores from years past, you can see that we will expect big things every single time she gets on an event.
Big part of Utah's second-ranked beam rotation in 2020. On to Utah State and Leighton Varnador. I remember when she was a freshman and contributing for Amy Smith. Now she's one of the experienced veterans for this Aggie squad.
I was just thinking how fun it has been to see her grow up. She puts up such big performances, huge floor tumbling passes, and big scores on the other events as well. I'm super excited to see her tonight.
Outstanding all-around competitor. Now for the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, ranked 23rd, Carly McLean. What's the scouting report on Miss McLean, Mikkel?
Scotty reports she's one of the best juniors in the entire country. So I'm excited to see her live up to that tonight. Another gymnast that puts up huge 9.9s on floor, on beam. Everything she touches, she does great with.
And for the 17th ranked BYU Cougars, we turn our attention to Abby Miner, a young lady that won the all-around in this meet a year ago.
Abby has a lot to show tonight. She has been so excited just to get back out here again. She is a crowd favorite. Her floor tumbling is huge. Her bars are so clean. Everything she does is done well as well.
As a reminder, our Impact Performers brought to you by Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. We now move on to tonight's rotation order in this quad meet. Presented by Intermountain Healthcare, keeping the Cougs healthy as the official sports medicine provider for BYU Athletics. The Southern Utah Thunderbirds will start on vault. The 4th-ranked Utah Utes on bars, BYU on the beam, and Utah State on the floor. What do you think of the rotation order? And is there an advantage in a meet like this? Mikkel, I know in the dual meets, you typically don't want to start on the beam, but in a quad meet, does it feel like there's an advantage?
Quad meet, beam is still hard to start on. Vault is kind of nice to start on because it's so fast. You don't have time to get nervous. So hopefully that works to SU's advantage tonight. Honestly, though, I think all the girls are probably feeling a little bit of nerves. It has been a long, long time since they've gotten to compete, and they didn't know if this would even happen this year.
What an unbelievable job by all the coaching staffs involved tonight for these 4 reputable programs, notably Tom Farden. And Mikkel, all he did in his first year as a solo head coach was win Pac-12 Coach of the Year and have the Utes again in contention for a national championship.
Yeah, no big deal there, huh? The girls are looking very good. I'm very excited to see the Utes this year because this is the first year they haven't had a coaching change, whether that's bringing on new coaches or whatever. So the consistency that they have there will be very helpful.
There you see Amy Smith in charge of Utah State Gymnastics. And Mikkel, they got off to a really rough start last season, but then finished just on a major upswing and were competing with the likes of BYU and Southern Utah for the best in the Mountain Rim.
Oh yeah, they really struggled with injuries, things that they had no control over. Were just kind of getting the best of them, but they really overcame that, did some troubleshooting, and looked so good by the end of last season.
And leading the 23rd ranked Southern Utah Thunderbirds is Scott Bowman in his 30th season, Mikkel. He's been around since you were competing.
It's true.
You competed against him as an opposing head coach.
Yeah, Scotty's great. He's so good to his teammates, to these girls. The girls look to him as like a caretaker. He does such a good job, and that's what you need with these girls, is someone that can really take care of them as gymnasts, but more so as humans.
And for the BYU Cougars, 17th ranked team coming into the season, Guard Young is leading the way, former Olympic silver medalist. BYU finished the season number 16 when things got shut down due to the global pandemic. The highest ranking the Cougars had finished with in 15 years. We asked him on BYU Sports Nation, okay, what's the next step? And he said, well, each year that I've been here, we have finished higher than we have started in the rankings. So BYU number 17, the goal again is to take a few more steps up those final rankings.
And Guard has such a good head on his shoulders. When I'm talking to him, he has these big goals, but he's also so excited just to compete, and says every time that they get to compete he's considering a blessing.
We're going to open our coverage tonight from the Best of Utah meet on the floor with Utah State. Here is Leighton Varnado, our impact performer for the Aggies.
Beautiful opening pass from Leighton on floor. We're going to be looking for forward tumbling, backward tumbling, leaps, jumps, and turns as well. On floor is different than other events. You are allowed to take a little bit of a step back. It's called a lunge for no deduction. On the other events, we'll be looking for no moving on the feet. This year's going to look a little bit different on floor. A lot of teams have opted to do 2 flip tumbling passes or really try to rein their gymnasts in and water down the routine slightly, just to keep everyone healthy. These gymnasts are in and out of the gym, whether they have a roommate who's gotten COVID and they have to quarantine for 2 weeks and then they have to come back. So the coaches are a lot more worried about safety this year than any other.
Varnado ready for another pass. Second team Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference all-around performer a season ago.
Good opening routine for Utah State. We saw she hit all of her passes. There will be a slight deduction on each of those landings. Where she did take the lunge back, that's totally okay, but the first foot cannot move.
We now take you to the balance beam. First look at the BYU Cougars and Angel Zong, senior out of Langley, Canada, receiving some instruction from her assistant and beam specialist coach, Natalie Brookman.
Angel is a gymnast I have been so excited to see back. Last year she was looking so good and then had to sit out the season because of a ruptured Achilles. She's just worked so hard. The coaches cannot say enough good things about Angel. And they've just been so proud of how far she's come. As a freshman, her gymnastics was beautiful, but doing gymnastics as a freshman is so scary because all of a sudden you're out here, everyone's watching you, it's very intimidating. And they say she's gone from this nervous freshman to just a really solid performer all the way around.
You'll hear intermittent cheers because all 4 events are happening at the same time, so individual competitors obviously finishing at different times. Angel Zong still awaiting the all clear from the judges, so she will reset for a moment.
This is the worst when you're waiting, because you walk up, you're ready to go, and then it's really easy to get in your head while you're just standing there waiting on the judges. On beam, we're going to be looking for, same as floor, tumbling that goes forward and backwards. Leaps, jumps, there does have to be a toe turn at one point, a turn done on one foot. Beautiful leap pass. Those leaps do have to hit 180 degrees, and she did a great job with that. So every time you see a gymnast wobble, that is a deduction. So she will receive a slight deduction after that full turn. Beautiful series, really handles that well. Again, tiny, tiny bobble, tiny deduction. The bigger the wobble is, the bigger the deduction will be. Really, really pretty front aerial. Those are very tricky to do because, oh, whoops, you can't see the beam when you land. You can see these back to competing nerves might be getting us a little bit. As season goes on, we will see less of these wobbles.
And the dismount from Angel Zong.
Great job on the dismount. A little crooked on the round off. A less experienced gymnast probably wouldn't have been able to stick that landing, but she handled that beautifully.
Angel Zong receiving some congratulations from her onlooking BYU teammates.
Angel's had, even because of that red shirt year, everyone's having a little bit of a hard time coming back, but Angel's had even longer off. So she did a great job setting up BYU for success on beam tonight.
Here is Morgan Alfaro for Southern Utah on the vault. Wow.
Beautiful Yurchenko full. Yurchenko full now starts at a 9.95. That is the highest score a gymnast can receive. On vault, we're looking for a combination of distance and height off the vault and a stuck landing. And Morgan just did a great job with that.
And for the Utah Utes, on the uneven bars, here is Alexia Perch, senior out of Sparks, Nevada.
Cal hop immediately into a Jaeger. That first release move is hard to see, but she did a great job. So we've now seen 3 release moves right into the shoot over. Going to get ready for the dismount. On bars, it is all about hitting those handstands and sticking your dismount. Big double A, nice college salute there.
I think that qualifies as a stick.
They will count that as a stick.
All right, one competitor from each of the teams have performed. Again, great to have you with us on BYU TV, streaming worldwide alongside Mikkel Merkley. I'm Spencer Linton. We are at the Maverick Center in West Valley City, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. And here is a look at Southern Utah's impact performer, Carly McLean. Mikkel, you said she's one of the best overall gymnasts in the country.
Scotty feels like the best in the country. So I'm really excited to see it tonight. And she does a great job living up to that, though. Really solid, calm competitor.
McLean on the vault.
Yurchenko full, tiny bit of a hop on the landing. Landings on vault are so hard to get used to at meets because the mats are, some mats are really soggy and you can kind of sink into them a little bit, and some are a little bit tighter and they rebound you. So it takes a few meets to get the hang of adjusting to all the different landings.
Here is Abby Miner-Alder. That hyphen now, she got married during the off season. One of BYU's 2 captains, and on the beam for the Cougars.
Beautiful split jump. Nice jump into the front kick over. The new rule is that you have to have both connection difficulty and just how hard your skill is difficulty. So you're going to see a lot more gymnasts connecting things that you might not have in the past.
There you see the two previous scores on beam for BYU. Lexi Mather with a 9.7 to lead things off. Angel Zong with a 9.625. As is customary in collegiate gymnastics, the low score in each rotation will be dropped when tabulating each score of a team rotation.
BYU is doing a great job of staying on the beam. Guard always jokes about how there's no defense in gymnastics, so we have beam fence. Great landing. That is something BYU is so good at, are their beam landings. They are stick machines.
Back to the floor now with the Utah State Aggies. Here is Ariel Toomey. Just a sophomore in Amy Smith's program. Looking to make a statement here in the opening meet of the season.
Get ready for that first pass. Front double full, very hard to do. She will get bonus, because that pass is so difficult, she will get bonus just for throwing that.
Leighton Varnadorian with a 9.725 as the first competitor on floor for the Aggies, followed by a 9.775 from Rebecca Wells.
You'll see she's all over the floor. There is a requirement that you have to go to each of the four corners on the floor. You also have to do dance that's standing up high. You have to do dance on the ground. The judges are really looking for variety in your choreography. Prepping for that final pass. Round off back 1.5 front full. Really holds on to that landing. Again, I think what was happening is she was trying to stay inbounds. There's lines on the floor. You cannot go over those lines. If you go over the lines, it is an automatic 10th off your routine. You can see those as you're going, and I think she was trying to make adjustments to make her pass a little shorter.
Back to the uneven bars and the Utah Utes with Miley O'Keefe.
Big opening release, immediately connected into that pack. That pirouette onto the toe-on soul circle is something you see a lot of more elite style gymnastics do. You'll see other teams maybe just do a switch kip. Huge double Arabian, tons of amplitude on that. We're gonna see some good scores.
Two-time Pac-12 Performer of the Week, Miley O'Keefe, with a 9.775 on her bars routine. Birch leading the way for the Utes with the 9.8 thus far. We're looking at Rachel Smith now on the floor for the Aggies. Correction, Southern Utah on the vault.
Full on back tuck off, such a hard vault. That is one of the only vaults we will see tonight being that comes out of a 10-0 start value. Most of the vaults we'll see this evening will have a maximum score of 9.95. That one has a maximum score of 10.
And to our impact performer for the Utah Utes. We'll hold off on Crystal Issa just for a moment. As we have Issa now stepping up to perform, the junior from Henderson, Nevada.
I love Crystal's handstands. You don't see very many gymnasts do that straight body handstand anymore. It's way harder and it looks so good. Oh, all of her handstands look so good. That is so important to hit your handstands into skills and out of your releases. Nice Giant full into the double A. A lot of difficulty there. A lot of times if you see a gymnast do a blind full into their dismount, they're just going to do a double back. The fact that she does it into the double A shows a lot of difficulty.
Two-time regular season All-American on the bars. First team All Pac-12 on bars as well. Crystal Issa. When you talk to her coaches, they use the words precision and exactness describing her gymnastics. Back to the floor. Eve Jackson for Utah State.
I think we're going to see a lot of freshmen getting the opportunity to perform this year where that might not have been the case in other years. Again, just based off who's able to work out, who isn't. And it's going to be a great chance if they're ready to step up and get some experience that wouldn't have been available to them otherwise.
Amy Smith ready to watch one of her freshmen put together what she hopes is a solid floor routine here. And while we have a moment, a shout out to our BYU TV crew. This is one of the more challenging events that they will ever have to work in terms of a broadcast because of the events happening all at the same time. We have to go back and review some things as well as come back to live coverage. So we appreciate the patience of all four schools and their fans watching at home on BYU TV as we bring you the opening meet of the 2021 season for these four programs. Just saw the scores for the Aggies on the floor. Ariel Toomey most recently taking a 9.65.
Opening with a nice round off backhand spring double pike. Oh, you see how she steps on the line. However, the line judge did not raise the flag. As long as you step on the line, you are fine. You cannot step over the line. Also, we'll see mats on the floor tonight. That is totally okay. No deduction to have mats on the floor. We're just being hyper aware of the gymnast safety needs. So that one did go over. What we'll see is that there are judges in each corner and they have little flags and they will raise it for that. That will be an automatic 1/10 off. Again, something that will just come with experience as you move through your gymnastics career. You learn to be more aware of those lines and how to little tricks to stay in bounds. Big double back, lots of power there. Unfortunately, we will get another out of bounds deduction. That's okay. Again, first meet, we're going to see a lot more mistakes than we will later in the season. We won't be seeing these in a few more weeks.
We leave the floor for a moment and move back to the balance beam with BYU and Abby Bowden-Stainton. Stainton is the other captain of two for the BYU Cougars.
Abby is such a good gymnast to have here at the end because she is so solid. Big pass here, hitch kick into the front kick over. Oh shoot. That was a big pass for Abby. She has to repeat it. This is her series. It is a required, the connection is required. So she will either figure out a way to make up for that later or she's just going to have to take the deduction. Really pretty leap pass. She does such a good job of hitting her ankles. There we go for that series. Makes it up. She normally will receive about 4/10 bonus for that pass because she does a 3, because she does the jump, the kick over, the backhand spring. However, because she had to repeat it and only did the 2 skills, we will see that she doesn't receive as much bonus. It'll be interesting to see what kind of score she can salvage.
Okay, so for BYU, we'll see if they have to take that 9-4-5 that was put up earlier, or what Stainton's score will be. Maya Fishwick now on the floor for Utah State.
You asked earlier what events are sometimes hard to be on. Sometimes in quad meets, just floor in general is hard because the other events move so much faster and there's a little bit of pressure feeling like everyone's waiting on you when you're at the end of a floor lineup. Huge opening pass. That is a double full right into a punch front, so she will receive bonus not only for doing the double full, but then the connection bonus as well.
The anchor leg on the floor for the Aggies, following a 9-4-2-5 from Jackson.
Slowing down before that final pass. Floor routines are only about 1.5 minutes, but they are exhausting. So before the final pass, you want to take it a little bit slow. Does a great job keeping that on her feet.
Maya Fishwick, the sophomore, competed in 3 events for the Aggies last year, with her opening event of the 2021 season. Okay, Mikkel, through one rotation. And as we show you the Southern Utah scores on the vault, what are your initial thoughts from all 4 of these programs?
Scores are a little bit lower than we are used to seeing, but I think it's so important to just keep in mind that I talked to a gymnast. She got COVID over Thanksgiving, couldn't practice, felt like she had mono after that. So she's only worked out a week total going into this meet. I think a lot of gymnasts can really relate to that. So I personally am very impressed with the gymnastics we are seeing tonight, all things considered.
You had to wonder what the rust factor would be like, obviously with a lengthy layoff. And speaking with Guard Young, he said it just felt like any time we had an opportunity to even be in the gym and practice,
yes,
we were relishing the opportunity, because one positive case shuts things down for a few more weeks, and then you got to figure out new and interesting ways to get your workouts in at home, and that's just, it's almost impossible to do that.
It is impossible. You can't do a pickup. You can't get together at home and do a couple of bar routines in your free time. Like no one can do that. Also, gymnastics doesn't have an off season. And so you normally compete, and then the spring, summer is where it's so important, because that's where you're getting your new skills. That's where you are fixing things. And the girls really didn't have that very crucial time that they normally would have. So the fact that they're able to come out here and do gymnastics is awesome.
Fishwick into the 9-6-7-5, the last performer we showed you during this live coverage. Unofficially in front of me right now at BYU with a combined 48.450.
BYU Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Intermountain Healthcare, healing for life. Brady Industries, honestly better. Deseret First Credit Union, you know why, we show how. And by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Welcome back to the Best of Utah meet at the Maverick Center in West Valley City, Utah. 4th ranked Utah, 17th ranked BYU, 23rd ranked Southern Utah, and unranked Utah State competing for the first time in 2021. We take you to our Deseret First Credit Union rotation scores presented by Deseret First. You know why, we show how. And the official marks Have Utah leading after one rotation with a 48.975. Southern Utah just behind with a 48.625. BYU on beam with a 48.45, and Utah State just a hair above the Cougars at 48.475. Mikkel, you mentioned that beam is always tough to start on. Throwing a quad meet factor, long layoff. Some of those jitters are certainly there, but what do you think of BYU's opening rotation score there, it being the low of the 4 we just saw?
Yeah, again, I think we're going to see some lower scores today. We're coming off a huge break. We're coming off who knowing how much the girls are getting to practice, but I feel good about it. I feel like all the teams did really good. I'm genuinely very proud of the girls for getting out there today and doing as well as they're doing.
Warm-ups happening for rotation 2. A reminder, the WCGA preseason poll recently revealed the Gators of Florida, not surprisingly, on top. Oklahoma, another powerhouse program, followed by LSU. And there is Utah, perennial national championship contenders, followed by Michigan, Alabama, and UCLA. You see BYU at number 17, Southern Utah at number 23. BYU, the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference champions for the first time in program history. We do have one score change to make note of. LeBlanc for Utah on the bars in with a 9.8. So that will take the Utes up to a 49 even in their first rotation score.
What we'll see there when we see a score change is that maybe a judge missed a release, or maybe they didn't count something, and so a coach is allowed to challenge that. It has to be done within the rotation. If it works out, then awesome, they raise a score. If it doesn't work out, often a 10th is taken from the overall score, the team score. So the coaches don't fight it unless they feel like it's worth it. This meet's also, it's called a podium meet, which means the girls there's so much happening right now. It's the first meet after COVID, the first meet after being in and out of practice all preseason, and then podium meets are a lot different from a regular meet because normally your team is there for you, you're all there together. What's going to happen is once the actual meet starts, once warm-up is over, all the teammates come down off the podium and you are just up there all by yourself. So that's a little intimidating as well. There's just a lot of factors happening tonight.
Our second rotation will feature the BYU Cougars on the floor. The Utah Utes will be on the balance beam. Reminder, they had the second-ranked balance beam team in the country in 2020. Southern Utah will move to the uneven bars, and Utah State over to the vault.
That concludes time warm-ups. Judges may take control of your event. First up, on call for Utah State, Grace Rojas.
There you hear the in-house commentator welcoming Grace Rojas to start off the vault for Utah State. We will start our second rotation coverage with the Cougars of BYU and Rachel Bain. Okay, Mikhail, talk us through what is happening between an event coach and her first competitor as you open up a new rotation.
Honestly, usually what's happening is you're not getting any magic tips. It's not like all of a sudden your coach is like, hey, by the way, try this. And you're like, gosh, I wish you would have said that to me before. They're usually just sending you little reminders, usually something along the lines of take your time, you know how to do this. Pacing is the #1 either benefit or enemy for gymnasts. Nice opening pass for BYU, Rachel. This is a really fun new routine. Her and her sister choreographed it. Megan was on the team a few years ago and they came in. Rachel takes a lot of pride in her gymnastics and wanted the routine to be exactly what she needed. Huge Rudy there. what we're looking for on these front passes, and BYU excels at it, is the shoulders do not drop to make the flip. We want to see on these front passes that the shoulders come up and the body rotates around it, and Rachel did a phenomenal job. You can see here, this is what I was talking about. Do you see how all the gymnasts are on the floor? Rachel's basically up on a stage all by herself. You can't have your teammates in your corners like you normally would. It's just a little bit isolating. Okay, ready for that final pass? 3-trick pass. She's going for that connection bonus, and she did a great job.
Rachel Bain for BYU opening up the second rotation on the floor.
What a good start for BYU.
Now we go to the uneven bars. Here's Hannah Knipp of Southern Utah.
Hannah has such pretty lines. We're looking for our legs not only to be straight, but the toes are pointed, all the muscles are squeezing. The judges really want to see that. Whoa, that was a good save. When they catch that Jaeger, you want to have your arms totally straight, face away from the bar. She was very close, and it would have been very easy for her to rush her next skills, but she handled that beautifully. Goes for such a good landing. Great recovery after what could have been a disastrous start.
Here's Grace Rojas, Utah State, on the vault.
Great landing, legs a little bit wide. What we want to see is that the legs on the landing, they can't be further apart than our shoulders. So she might receive a little bit of a deduction, but honestly, it was so stretched out in the air, very controlled landing. We should see a good score for that.
Now to Alexia Birch. This is always a very exciting opportunity to watch this Utah team compete on this event.
Yeah, Utah's really great on this event, and this is a great event for them to be on. It's the same girls as last year, doing almost identical routines. There are a few upgrades. But again, that consistency, 2020 did not offer a lot of consistency. So any consistency that these gymnasts can get, that's going to be great to take advantage of. Beautiful flick lay. That was a tricky jump, that ring jump where they throw the head back. She loses sight of the beam, making it very difficult. The beam is only 4 inches wide, so losing sight of it for a short amount of time is very challenging. Again, another blind landing on that front aerial, but handles it well. Get ready for her gainer full. Great stick, a few more bobbles than we're used to seeing, but again, as season goes on, we are not going to be worried about that.
Alexia Birch with an 9.75 to open up the beam rotation for the Utes. Back to the vault, Utah State and Brianna Brooks.
Good vault, a little bit soft on the vault. We could see her arms bent a little bit, her shoulders bent a little bit. So we'll see. It's so hard because you see a great landing. That was honestly a really good landing. And you think that's going to receive a huge score, but the judges are looking for that shoulder angle, the elbow, so it might be just a tiny bit lower than we're hoping for.
Now Crystal Issa with her second performance of the night. Utah returns 17 of their 24 events, which is a large factor into why they open up the season so high in the preseason poll.
Yes. My only concern with Utah this year is they only roster 13 girls. So the other teams, they have more people on their team, and this is going to be a season where we're going to be seeing routines come in and out based on who's quarantined, who can come to practice, and Utah does not have that privilege. Super cool mount here. It's so fun when these gymnasts feel comfortable enough in their routines that they're able to branch out and do more showman style gymnastics. Nice kick over front, a little bit low on the landing. Beautiful flick lay. Tons and tons of bonus. You do not get connection bonus on your series unless it's a 3-part skill. That had the back handspring, plus the layout was a D and the other layout was a D. I should probably explain, since it's been so long that we've seen gymnastics, gymnastics scores are ranked A through E based on difficulty level. A-level skills are quite easy to do relative. D and E-level skills are so hard. So she was able on that series to do 2 D-level skills, which is phenomenal.
Issa with a warm reception from several Utah fans in attendance here tonight. Abby Bowden-Stainton on the floor for BYU.
Abby's doing the same routine as last year, which was a real crowd pleaser. Very clean. She does not do a back handspring, which makes her tumbling a little bit trickier, but more likely to consistently stay in bounds. The back handspring is not required. A lot of gymnasts just like to do it instead of coming out of that crooked round off. Second pass. Gymnasts are required to do a pass that has 2 flips in it. 2 different flips, a lot of times. This was a huge upgrade for Abby last year. Adding the double back at the end of the routine is very hard to do, but with the rule changes and floor routine starting at 9-4 now, she needed the extra bonus. And she has just really come through for the Cougars.
Abby Bowden-Stainton for BYU. And the expression on her face tells the story of what she thinks of that performance. We transition now back to the vault with the Utah State Aggies.
Beautiful. This is going to get a huge score. That was such a good vault. She was so tight on the vault. Her body was totally straight in the air. The judges do not want to see any pike down at all, and she did not do it.
Michaela Meyer with a 9.825.
Okay, and so that's what's even better, is that she can build off that score. As long as she did just as good or better than Meyer, she's going to get a better score.
We move quickly now to the uneven bars.
Nice Higgins into the Jaeger, immediate bail. Tons of connection bonus there. That Higgins you don't see very often. They're so hard to do.
We're watching Shailen Murakami.
Huge dismount, tiny foot move on the mat. I feel like that was really one of her only deductions though. That was a great routine.
Let's take things back to the floor with BYU and Sadie Miner, the younger sister of Abby Miner.
Sadie has a huge opening pass. We talked about how those skills are ranked A through E. Sadie opens with a double lay, which is an E, making it one of the more difficult skills done at all in gymnastics. Gosh, and she is just a machine. Coach Brogan was talking about how she'll be out of the gym for 2 weeks and she'll just come back in like nothing has happened. She's so good at floor. Sadie actually has so much bonus in her tumbling passes that she's only doing 2. She wants to do 3. Her coaches are trying to rein her in a little bit. Again, long season. We don't know what it's going to look like. In and out of the gym, just to be safe, they're reining her in. So we'll see. We'll see if she can talk them into that third pass later in the season. Ending with a really nice 1.5 front
Holding
full.
on right there.
Yeah, she knew that's veteran experience right there, knowing how to stay in.
A couple of 9.8s and a 9.875 followed up by that performance from Minor, who awaits her score now. Back to the balance beam, the Utah Utes and Miley O'Keefe. Recapping the scores, look at the 9.9 from Issa, followed by 9.875 from Randall. Really, we shouldn't be surprised that we're seeing these numbers even this early in the season from Utah.
No, honestly, from any of these teams, all these teams, I've been so impressed watching their warm-ups. They all looked very, very good. I think once we get the competition jitters out, we're going to see some really big scores put up. Very challenging, very unique series. Because she has so much bonus in that opening series, we're going to expect a little bit shorter routine. She's going to just get up, do what she needs to do, and get off. Love combination going into this dismount. Solid landing. We are seeing a lot of these aerial back full dismounts this year. Again, that's because of the rule change. The rule change moved start values from a 9.5 to a 9.4, but they said, hey, if you do these certain things, if you do the aerial back full dismount, you'll automatically get 1/10 added back in. So a couple of routine changes we're not used to seeing.
Once again on the ball with Utah State.
It was so close to a stick. I've seen her stick that so many times.
It was Logan Varnador, the sister of Leighton Varnador.
Yes.
She earns a 9.775 unofficially. Utah State with a 48.875 in their second rotation.
Beautiful handstand. Ooh, right into that Takachev. Did it look like she hit her foot?
Might have graced that bar with her left heel.
So, bummer, because that hurts. And now she still has to finish her routine. They're going to want to drop that 9.6, so she's going to hope that she can really stick this dismount and contribute. A little bit low. Honestly, a really good recovery. That doesn't feel good when you kick the bar, and it throws you off. She would have caught it crooked. That's a hard comeback.
Again to the beam for Utah. Here is Abby Paulson. Miley O'Keefe takes a 9.925.
Oh, great score.
Just besting Issa's 9.9. And wait until you see what Paulson has in store.
Abby scored the first 10-0 on beam since Ashley Postel in 2008. She did that last year, and she has just shown up repeatedly since then. Another very challenging series. The side aerial is so hard because you're usually a little crooked coming out of it, and the beam is only 4 inches wide. So if you're even a tiny bit crooked, there's not a lot of room for troubleshooting. We're gonna see that same dismount, cat leap, side aerial, back full. Beautiful landing. We should expect another huge score from Abby.
expect a massive score from Utah on the beam in their second rotation. Here's Brittany Witkowskis for BYU.
It was actually Brittany that took 6 months to choose her floor music. As the floor specialist, she takes a lot of pride in what she puts out there. Those front double fulls are so tricky, and she has so much amplitude on it. Again, E-level pass, as hard as it gets in college gymnastics, really. Nice back 1.5 front full, a little bit of a leg separation on the back 1.5. Anytime anything looks just a little bit off, assume the judges are going to take for it. Again, slowing it down to get ready for that final pass. Really, really clean. Brogan talked about how normally she does all the choreography for the team, and this year she's let the girls take a lot more ownership in what they're doing. And it looks very good. They've done a great job. A lot of good landings on that. Nice comeback.
We await Brittany Witkowskis' floor score. Look at those numbers from Utah. 9.925 back-to-back to close things out. Utah in unofficially with a 49.375, this following a 49 even in their opening rotation. We move back to the floor now. Here is Abby Alder, all-around performer for the Cougars. Again, if you're just joining us, she won the all-around in this exact meet a year ago.
Abby's another gymnast opening with that double layout. These are so hard to do. You really don't see them done often. So the fact that BYU has 2 of them is amazing. And she is just solid every time. Another one of those gymnasts that the coaches have just come really to rely on. She's so good at just coming in, getting done what she needs to do in practice, and sets a great example for the underclassmen. Back 1.5 front lay with a nice, clean landing. We should expect a big score for this routine. Round off back handspring double pike. Doing the double pike at the last pass automatically gives you 1/10 of bonus. That was a great routine, Spence.
Solid scores from BYU on the floor routine. Look at the 9.85 from Witkowskis and the high of a 9.9 from Abby Minor Alder. BYU with a big time bounce back score, 49.375. This after the Cougars struggled to a 48.45 on the beam. Southern Utah 49 flat on their bars rotation. We'll come back with the updates from Utah and Utah State as well as we approach the halfway point of the Best of Utah meet. Great to have you with us on BYU TV. We're back with more from these 4 storied programs in just a moment. Opening up the season in 2021 for 4 different programs. Reminder, our scorebox sponsor is Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. After 2 rotations, the Utah Utes, 4th-ranked team in the country, in the preseason poll with a 98.375. BYU following a massive floor score of 49.375. Now up to a 97.825. Southern Utah in 3rd currently at 97.6, and Utah State at 97.4. Alongside Mikkel Merkley, I'm Spencer Linton. We cannot tell you how excited we are just to be here in the building, watching gymnastics with everything that has happened, and seeing these athletes, Mikkel, really compete at a high level based on all of the different unique circumstances they've had to train through.
And the fact that we got all 4 teams here, I cannot believe that all 4 teams were able to make it. There will for sure be meet cancellations at some point this year with teams not having enough girls able to compete. And yeah, the fact that we got 4 is awesome.
Just to update you on a little bit of a situation with Southern Utah on the vault, we are hearing that athletes performed out of order, and so the judges are scrambling along with the officials to figure out how to score that, what type of penalty there may or may not be involved with that. So it will take a moment on the vault to get that final score official for Southern Utah.
Yeah, so unfortunately in the code of points, which is basically the gymnastics rule book, there is a deduction if you compete out of order. I believe it's 1/10.
We now enter rotation number 3. Utah State will take to the uneven bars, led off by Leighton Varnador, followed by Gutierrez, Jackson, Rojas, Brooks, and Fishwick is the anchor leg. Southern Utah heads over to the balance beam. Ruby Hernandez, the first to compete there, followed by Rachel Smith, Murakami, Nip, McLean, Voltaggio, all ready to show what they have on the balance beam and try and make things interesting here with BYU, who has surged back into 2nd place after the 2nd rotation. The Utah Utes head to the floor. They'll be led off by our impact performer for the 4th-ranked team in the country, Crystal Issa. Rucker, Paulson, Stanhope, O'Keefe, and Soloski round out the order. And BYU to the uneven bars. Guard Young's specialty here. This is the event that vault. Cougars will finish on the uneven bars.
They're very good on both events.
P2 Zong, Mason Bennett, and the Minor sisters competing 5th and 6th. Leighton Varnador has been given the all clear to compete on the uneven bars for Utah State.
If you're just tuning in on bars, we are looking for handstands, major releases, meaning a release typically done high bar to high bar, a transitional release, meaning releases moving from the high bar to low bar to high bar, and then obviously the stuck landing. Nice handstand. Ray immediately into the shoot over. Nice tone out, a little bit of a deduction on that shoot over. We saw the legs bend a little bit, didn't quite hit the handstand. Front giant into the double back. Oh, it's quite a big hop. The bigger the hop, the bigger the deduction. Sometimes you can get away with, if it's just a tiny hop, they'll only take maybe 1/2. A big hop can be up to 3/10.
Now to Crystal Issa. Utah opens up the floor.
Huge double back, tons of amplitude. Going to that second pass, round off back handspring, double pike. because she's in gymnastics, you have to show different skills. You have to show that you're well-rounded. Because she did it in the double tuck and the double pike, that counts toward that. That counts toward that differentiation, even though technically it's the same skill. Going into this final pass, we'll be looking for a pass with 2 flips in it. Back 1.5 front layout. Great landings, great control on all these landings. We'll be expecting a big score for Crystal.
Get used to hearing that all year when you're talking about Crystal
Yes.
Lisa. Expecting a big score.
On all the events.
One of the best in the country, certainly competing for crown of best in the Pac-12 when it comes to that. Ruby Hernandez for Southern Utah on the balance beam.
Pretty scaled there to show flexibility. Really good front aerial. She's a very calm gymnast. She looks very at peace up there. Not in any kind of rush, which is where a lot of gymnasts tend to go downhill fast. You tend to rush when you get nervous. Beautiful ring jump here. Oh, whoops. So on the ring jump, you have to throw your head backwards in order to get, you have to release the neck in order to get credit for that. I'm not sure she will receive credit. The shaping was really pretty, but so as soon as the hands touch the beam, it counts as a fall, whether you stay on. So she did end up falling. That will be an automatic 5/10 off. Her job is just to finish as strong as she can now. There's that side aerial into the back tuck full dismount. Unfortunately, when you fall, you don't know if your routine is going to count or not. So you just have to come back and finish as strongly as you can.
The mental gymnastics that these athletes go through within the actual gymnastics, a real test for sure.
Yes.
Angel's song on the vault for BYU.
Huge vault from Angel. I'm so excited she's back. The coaches told her, they said, Angel, it's your 5th year. If you can just come back for a beam, that we'd love that. You're so good, we'd love to see you on beam. And she said, no, I want to be on all the events. And she did everything she had to, rehab-wise, physical therapy, in the gym, to get back in these lineups. And she is going to be such a great competitor.
We're looking at Rachel Smith on the balance beam for Southern Utah. The 2 scores in for BYU thus far on the vault are a 9.75 and a 9.775 from Haley P2 and Angel Zong.
Woo, that is a hard series as well, that round off back layout. That will receive more bonus than the back handspring back layout. Darn it. Because there was already a fall earlier in the lineup, SUU will have to count a fall now. This routine has so much difficulty in it. With a little bit more experience going into the season, this is going to be a huge set to watch. Great landing, legs a tiny bit far apart, but she did a good job sticking it and just minimizing those deductions following her fall.
Now for the Red Rocks on the floor. Here is Jaden Rucker.
Jaden's been working a new skill for floor, the half in, half out. That is an E-level mount. You see it done there so well. That's a double back with a full twist. Sometimes you'll hear commentators or coaches say half in, half out, full in, full twisting, double back. It just depends on how the gymnast is, when the gymnast is doing their twisting as to what it's called, but it's all worth the exact same. Beautiful leaps and jumps. Her legs look awesome. They are so tight. The judges want to see, it's not enough just to have them straight. They want to see that they're actively engaged. Front layout, front full. That's another one of those gymnasts doing the 2 tumbling pass routines. Again, that first tumbling pass had so much bonus in it in combination with the rest of her skills. She didn't need the 3rd pass. So this season especially, we're just going to be really careful. The coaches are being aware of that, of not wearing the gymnast out unnecessarily.
We're looking at Avery Bennett for BYU on the vault.
Beautiful. Full on tuck off. She has worked that so hard this season. She's changed her technique a little bit to get the backflip off a little bit higher, and we are going to see a lot of good landings from Bennett this year.
BYU with 4 competitors to have competed in the vault. Shalin Murakami on the balance beam for Southern Utah.
Such a pretty mount. For her series. Flick, lay, flick. Huge opening pass. That is a BDB combination, giving her 3/10 of bonus. Holds on to that sheep dump, does a great job again. Releases the neck for that to count for bonus. Side aerial into the dismount. You can see that was a pretty short routine. It all comes back to that series. She was able, because she did a 3-part series, she was able to get bonus for it that other gymnasts are not receiving. She can get on the beam, do her job, get off, and limit any deductions that can possibly be taken. Beautiful full. The tiniest little hop there. I'm definitely expecting 9 9s from her this season on vault.
Now we go back to the uneven bars. Jessica Gutierrez for Utah State.
Really good opening there, the ray to the transitional release, like just a tiny bit apart. We're just seeing, again, that these are just mistakes that are happening at the beginning of season. Ooh, nice big double leg, nice distance from the bar. We want to see that balance between height and distance, and she really nailed that. There's just a couple of the deductions on that transitional release and then a missed handstand on the high bar.
There's a big layoff between the opening competitor on bars, Leighton Varnador, and the second you just saw from Utah State. So the Aggies are playing catch up a little bit. A judges conference took a really long time. Varnador with the 9.575, Gutierrez with the 9.775 as we move back to the beam in Southern Utah now. Here is Hannah Knipp.
Yeah, so what happens is if a judge's scores are more than 2/10 apart, typically it requires them to do a conference and figure out why that is that way. Beautiful front aerial from Knipp. Going right into her series. Woo, that was a great save. She is another gymnast that does a great job balancing that height and distance on her back layout. Just the hips got a little bit open. It would have been really easy to fall, but she held on to it beautifully. Hannah's another gymnast that is very peaceful to watch on beam. She just seems like she's done it a million times. She's very at ease. She's ready to just get up and do her job. Such a pretty dismount, very laid out, and a great landing.
Nip with a solid 9.8. Unfortunately for Southern Utah with those falls, they're going to have to count either a 9.125 or that 8.8.
Yeah, so they'll go with the 9. You always get to drop your lowest score, which is great, but it does put a lot of pressure on the rest of the team. They don't want to be counting a ton of falls.
Little Pink Panther music for the Red Rocks.
Another huge opening pass, that full twisting double back. Again, 4-incher on the mat, a 4-incher on the floor. Totally fine, not a deduction, just help protect those gymnast ankles. Big double back there. Coach Courtney's done a great job with the choreography on these routines. They're very, very clean. That's your goal in college gymnastics, is you don't want to give away points. You don't want to give away tenths. Judges don't want to take them. So if you can just be as clean as possible, you're going to end up with those high scores. Nice final pass, maybe a tiny bit short on that front layout, but it should receive minimal deductions at most.
And the Utes looking strong on the floor. Stanhope with the 9.85. Following Rucker and Paulson with 9.875s respectively, and Issa with the 9.85 leading off. Let's move back to Sadie Miner now on the vault for BYU.
Sadie has a huge Yurchenko 1.5. It is out of a 10.0 start value. She is the MRGC conference champ. Oh, almost sat it down to it. Great job taking that step back instead. You're always just minimizing deductions. Is the step back a deduction? Yes. However, is it less of a deduction than sitting it down? Definitely. So she handled that very well.
A 9.725, holding on for that. BYU with a 48.9 unofficially in their third rotation on vault. Thunderbirds and Carly McLean.
Solid flick lay. You can see she shows that. It wasn't enough just to move through it. She did a great job showing how solid it was. I actually always get really excited for Carly's dismount. I feel like she's a stick machine. Great landing. Solid set for Carly.
Carly McLean with a team high 9.85 on the balance beam. And Utah State, again, after that long delay, the judges had a conference following Leighton Varnador's opening routine.
This is a beautiful set. Her form is fantastic. Those long delays are really hard, especially on bars, because you get cold. It's not like you can, oh, that was a good routine. Tiny bit of a hop on the landing. If you get a little bit cold on floor or vault or beam, you can kind of run, do things on the side. On bars, there's not a sidebar set up where you can swing.
And a big credit to Eve Jackson and Grace Rojas, who you just saw stick that landing with a 9.85 and a 9.825. So while they are getting cold, they're responding, picking some big scores up. There's Haley Voltaggio. anchor competitor on the balance beam for Southern Utah. Just about to finish up rotation number 3.
Kind of a fun little pass we saw there. You don't usually see the switch leap done to 2 feet. I don't think she'll get the credit for the connection, but again, as season goes on, they'll be working out those little misfits, deductions. That is such a hard series. The flick, lay, lay. You're not going to see that done very often. Oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
So unfortunately, that is the 3rd fall for SUU, and it was on a cartwheel, which is a bummer. She's not going to be very happy about that mistake. Usually we're just doing the cartwheel for our front side move requirement. Huge landing though. Great comeback.
Voltaggio with a 9.275. So as you pointed out, Mikkel, the Thunderbirds will drop the 8.85 from Smith, but take a big hit in rotation 3. Utah very much looking in mid-season form as they are well into their 3rd rotation now. Back on the floor, Miley O'Keefe.
Such a pretty double pike. She does a great job with her set. When you watch these double pikes, you want to see them really, and double backs, you want to see the stand up and then the leg pull. And she did a great job demonstrating that. Nice front lay, front full. Getting ready for that final pass. Round off back 1.5 front layout. Whoops, a little bit of a bobble there on the landing. Again, on floor, you are allowed to take a step, a controlled step out of your tumbling pass. It's called a lunge, no deduction. However, if the first foot moves, it is a deduction.
.9 from O'Keefe. Utah going to take another big score regardless of what the anchor leg puts up on the floor.
That's a good feeling. When all your teammates have hit, you can just get out there and do your job without the pressure. Beautiful routine so far. Nice ray immediately into the shoot over. Oh, shoot, a little bit short on that handstand. Nice double layout, a little bit pogo sticky on the landing. Again, just getting used to different mats as season goes on. Sometimes the mat is a little bit softer, sometimes they're more reflexive and they'll bounce you back.
Very rarely, Mikkel, do we encounter a scenario where the uneven bars and the floor are finishing at the same time in a rotation, yet here we are. Sydney Solosky for Utah, final to compete here for the Red Rocks.
Whoa, keep it. I think that stayed in. Again, if they touch the white line, it's fine. If the line judge feels like they went over the line, 1/10 off. Big double A though, nice opening pass. Just maybe a little bit wild on her landings, maybe a little bit of adrenaline is leading to extra energy. but we really want to see those controlled steps. Round off back 1.5 front lay. That's more what we want to see. The controlled front step. Back leg doesn't need to move.
Sydney Solosky with a 9.775. They'll drop that score, will the Red Rocks, and Utah takes a 49.350. This following a 49.375 on the beam. Big scores for Utah early in the season. Here is Maya Fishwick.
Oh, such a pretty transitional release there. That's what you want to see. She hits the handstand, really shows that position. Huge double front. Oh. Unfortunately, because she took the step forward and then moved the second foot to it, it's going to be a little bit bigger of a deduction. That is a very difficult dismount to do. The double front blind landing. You can't see the floor until you've already landed. Rest of the routine was solid, though.
Well, a unique third rotation, to say the least.
I think since we've been together, I don't think I've seen this.
Not just the athletes that are working at the kinks, but the judges, how things are going to operate here.
We're all remembering how gymnastics works.
There will be an exhibition routine for Utah State on the uneven bars. Every team has the option to do so if they choose.
Exhibition routines are such a great opportunity to practice performing in front of the crowd, seeing how your routine's going to go, seeing how a gymnast is going to perform under pressure. Beautiful handstand. Ooh, Delchev right into the shore. We do not see the Delchev very often.
And why is that?
You know, I don't know. It's kind of like if a Ginger and a Jaeger got married and you just don't see it.
Put that on your quote board.
So she did miss. She didn't do a dismount. That's fine. Again, exhibition performance does not count against team scores. She still got to go out there and practice her Delchev, her shoot over. The pressure of competing at the very end of a lineup, far, far, far from the time you warmed up. So that was a great experience for her.
Utah State, 48.975. All things considered, that's a very good score based on the weights and the unorthodox approach they had to take while competing on that specific event. We'll take a break, calculate the scores after 3 rotations, and come back with more from the best of Utah. Open up NCAA Women's Gymnastics on BYU TV in 2021.
Gymnastics on BYU TV is brought to you by Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Intermountain Healthcare, healing for life. Brady Industries, honestly better. Deseret First Credit Union, you know why, we show how. And by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Serious emotion in the best of Utah meet. Those images provided by Utah State after their vault performance. Our scorebox sponsor, Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. We have added the scores up. Things have been slightly adjusted through 3 rotations, but what you're looking at is official as we have it. Utah with a clear lead, 147.725. The Utes, if they can perform on vault, Mikkel, are pacing for a 197 in their first meet of the season. It's good to be the Red Rocks. BYU currently in second with a 146.625 after they put up a 48.9 in their vault rotation. Southern Utah in third. Correction, Utah State in third at a 146.375, and Southern Utah after a forgettable beam performance of 47.875 with a 145.50 overall. We move into the fourth and final rotation. If you're just joining us on BYU TV, great to have you with us. I'm Spencer Linton, teamed up with Mikkel Merkley for what we hope is the first of many gymnastics meets that we will bring you in 2021.
We're hoping.
There is a look at the Utah Utes football helmet. We held a moment of silence earlier for the great Ty Jordan, Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, number 22. His funeral was held at the home of the Dallas Cowboys. He's a Texas native. We send our best to the entire Utah athletics family, to the Jordans. What a remarkable talent he was, and just a tragedy that we lost him so early. All of the competing Utah athletes will have different memorabilia or insignia remembering Ty Jordan as their season progresses.
What we're seeing right now is warm-ups. The gymnasts get a few minutes to warm up their skills again before they compete. The way college gymnastics meets work is they actually come, gymnastics meets are long. Any club gymnastics parent can tell you. They come a couple hours early, go through all the events, have a 15-minute warm-up on each event, go change into their competition outfits, and then we get what this is considered the one touch, a very short warm-up just as you come back to your event.
There's Coach Farden of Utah in his second season as the solo head coach at Utah. And he's got the Red Rocks competing at a very high level. Again, we should not be surprised, Mikkel.
We shouldn't, but I honestly kind of am because of all this. Some of these girls couldn't even practice until October. So the fact that they're coming back so clean, so strong is great.
We appreciate our worldwide audience who have been waiting a long time for gymnastics to return. And it is our pleasure as a BYU TV crew to bring it to you. This is our first opportunity in this Best of Utah meet to do so live on location, Mikkel. And this meet will happen for at least 3 more years. A 5-year contract will put these 4 programs competing here every year.
Great start, Yurchenko full, 9.95 start value. A little bit of a pike down.
Miley O'Keefe. The BYU Cougars now to the uneven bars with Angel Zong.
Nice cow hop right into the Jaeger. Bail. That is a 3-release series there. A little bit ahead of herself on the stoop up. Gonna slow it down, really prep for this landing. Big dismount double A. Whoa, that was a huge start for BYU. That is going to be a great score. It is full of difficulty, and something that guard really prides himself on is his ability to teach these big dismounts, and the Cougars do them so well.
An eruption of cheers from BYU as Angel Zong punctuates her opening performance in 2021. Utah State on the beam. Rebecca Wells leading things off for the Aggies.
Nice side aerial to start. The side aerial used to be a C, and then they realized gymnasts weren't really doing them as much, so they upgraded it to the D, and now we get to see it a lot more often. This is a solid set so far. Nice opening moves from all the teams. Really pretty double twist. Legs maybe a little bit too squat. The squat was a little too low on the landing, but didn't shift the feet, kept the chest up. That's going to be a good score.
O'Keefe with the 9.775 on that vault. Honestly, I think that score is a little bit low, Mikkel, for what we saw, but here's Crystal Issa.
Woo! So I think her deduction came back to that little bit of pike down with Issa did no pike down. So we're going to see a lot better score here. She did a little bit of a college salute where you pretend you stick it and you just hurry and turn, which in college is totally acceptable. We let that slide all the time.
Abby Beeston looking to follow up a really solid performance from Angel Zong that scored a 9.8 to open things up for BYU on the uneven bars.
Wow, great start. I love how she caught nice and far away on that Ginger. The connection was beautiful.
I know many of you are wondering how many Abbies can there be on this BYU team? Well, there are 3. And this is Abby Beeston.
Me and Spencer wonder the same thing. Between Abby Beeston and then every team, the Utah State has sisters on that team. BYU has sisters. It's all very confusing over here.
Back to the beam with Utah State. Rebecca Wells scoring a 9.775. Here is Lexi Aragon.
Beautiful opening lead pass. She did a great job of hitting that 180 degrees. And a really nice toe turn. The toe turn will get you sometimes. It's your simplest move. And sometimes the gymnasts move through it so fast without thinking about it. That's where deductions come from.
Oh.
So again, a fall is half a point immediately off the top. The other problem is you get bonus for doing skills, and when you fall on them, you don't always get that bonus. Great kick over to the jump. Nice big dismount. The 1.5, we don't see the 1.5 as often as the full. Besides the fact that it's an extra half twist, it's a blind landing, a lot harder to stick.
Now to the vault. Lucy Stanhope.
Really pretty vault. I expect big things from Lucy. I have seen her do a double full during her elite career. And so by coming back down and doing the full, you saw, minus the landing, the rest of it was technically very perfect. So we should see big scores from her this year.
9.8 for Stanhope. To the floor now, Aubrey Schwartz, following Haley Voltaggio's 9.575.
Double full, really strong start to this routine. Nice lead pass. Again, on floor, the leaps and jumps are just as important as the tumbling passes. A lot of times we overlook them just because tumbling's so cool. But the leaps and jumps, that's where that can make or break your routine. Another great pass. She ends with that walkout, very strategic move, a lot easier to stick. Good, strong front tumbler. A lot of times you'll see gymnasts are really strong back tumblers or front tumblers. If you can take advantage of that front tumbling, it's often worth more because it's a little bit harder to do.
We are in the middle of rotation number 4. Here is Jaden Rucker on vault for the Red Rocks. 9-8 is the high score thus far through 3 competitors.
Wow!
That should be to 9-8.
That was a great vault. Just a step on the landing, but holy cow, if you watch these girls on the vault, they are so extended. There's not a single shoulder or elbow bend.
Love the celebration run from Rucker as well, that 9.825. Brianna Brooks next to compete for Utah State on the beam, which gave Lexi Aragon, who competed just before her, some problems with the 9.050. How will Brooks and Utah State respond?
Nice series there. The front aerial into the flick is bonus because it is a 3-part series. Ooh, that was kind of a fun pass. Hokina down to the back shoulder roll. You really don't get to see the fun moves in college as much because you're just looking to get your job done, move out for the next person. So it's fun when we get to see that creativity. Woo! A little bit sideways on that. And I'm not sure what the judges can see from where they're seated. I don't know if they can see the sideways, but did a great job sticking.
Cami Hall on vault for the Red Rocks.
Looking for the back 1.5.
Okay.
Solid. So that is out of a 10.0.
9-9 for Hall.
The only deduction she had on that was just a little bit of leg separation coming off the vault. The rest was so good.
The celebration is merited. That was an amazing vault.
And the fact that she started this season with that, she has so much opportunity to just improve from there.
BYU's top all-around competitor and captain, Abby Miner-Alder.
Gosh, this is a good set too. Maybe a tiny bit short in that handstand. Beautiful double A. Tiniest little hop, but the knees just came over the toes a little too far. That was a good routine. I'm actually a little surprised at that score. I thought it would be higher.
So 3 consecutive 9.8s are above for BYU and an unexpected 9.725 from Alder.
That's what's tricky in gymnastics is it's not like basketball. Basketball, if you make the ball into the net, you get X amount of points. With gymnastics, if you are a little bit short on your handstand, they can take up to, it can be 0.05 up to 0.2. Everything's just so subjective based on how much the judges feel it needs taken out. Molly had a really strong opening. She is a firecracker on floor. She is such a strong twister. Front 1.5 for the finish. Nice strong
As your
routine.
event concludes, please stay in your event corral until all competitors.
Let's move on to Taylor Dittmar. And Utah State back on the balance beam.
press mount, so hard to do. There's so many underappreciated parts about gymnastics, and a press mount is one of those.
And that won't necessarily garner you any more points.
No, it won't. She gets nothing for that other than being able to show that she can do it. Really cool series, though, with the one arm back handspring. Kind of a unique routine. Not only does it not get you more points, but how tiring. Can you imagine having to do that and then follow it with all these skills?
No, I can't imagine that, Mikkel. So I'm not going to try. Just appreciate the incredible athletes that we're watching.
We'll get Spencer out there later. Really strong dismount there. The series into the back 1.5, a bit of a hop.
A 9.55 for Dittmer. Again, a 9.55 for Dittmer, the fourth to compete for Utah State on the balance beam. And this the fourth and final rotation of the meet. The Red Rocks are done competing. 49.175 in their fourth rotation on vault. Birch anchoring that with a 9.85. Hall with a high of 9.9 and well deserved there. An incredible run and vault for Miss Hall and Utah. BYU and Haley Pitu now on the uneven bars.
Line change right into the Jaeger. Beautiful catch. Arms nice and straight and no shoulder angle. Again, there's that handstand we're looking for. It's so smart to do that toe on. There's a skill, it's called a kip, and it is exhausting to do. And by doing that toe on out of their releases, they're able to skip it.
Now the release.
Good, a little early on the twist, pulling her back into the bars, but she handled it beautifully.
9.825 for Pitu. So all 5 of the initial routines hit for BYU, taking some pressure off Abby Stainton, who will be the last to compete for the Cougars. Back to Carly McLean, another outstanding all-around competitor representing Southern Utah.
Nice, strong double pike. That's the lunge the judges are looking for. Very, very controlled. Beautiful back 1.5 front layout. For a big final pass, if the gymnast ends with a double tuck, they automatically get 1/10 of bonus added to their routine, and she nails it. Mic drop, Spencer.
That's one way to put it.
SU has done a great job coming back from their beam performance. It's very easy to go into the next rotation after a hard performance, kind of down, and they've done a great job turning around. The routines we've seen have been phenomenal.
Carly McLean, most recent to bring credence to what Mikkel just said about the bounce back performance from Southern Utah. Molly Jozwikowski performed before her with a 9.825 as we move back to the beam. and Carly Bales for Utah State. To reset what is happening here at the Best of Utah meet, 4 teams, 3 in the top 25, and there's another fall from Utah State, the only team that is not ranked in the preseason poll. Southern Utah at 23, BYU at number 17, and Utah at number 4.
You know, she was just a little bit off on that front aerial. She tried really hard to work through it so that she could get that connection, and it just was a little too much. Beautiful front aerial there, though, right into the back handspring. It used to be the most common series we would see was the flick lay. But it seems like as the years go on, we're seeing more and more of these front aerial back handspring series. Both are equally accepted in the judges' eyes. She's a little tiny bit crooked on that round off, leading to a little bit crookedness in the air, which then leads to the side step, but overall handled it well. A lot of pressure. Finishing a routine out after a fall.
Here is the final competitor for BYU on the uneven bars, Abby Stainton. Cougars hoping for a good score here so they can finish with their second rotation of 49 plus.
Tons of bonus in that little series. Abby does her Jaeger with her feet together in a piked position, making an E instead of a D. Getting ready for a big dismount here. Full twisting double back. Oh, the tiny foot shift with the left foot. Such a good set though.
And there it is, a 9.825 to match P2 for a high on the uneven bars. BYU totals of 49.075 on the uneven bars, and the Cougars should come in somewhere in the high 195s for their opening meet, which is similar to what BYU did last year at this meet.
Can you believe that though? Can you believe how well these girls are doing, all things considered?
Really, no. I wasn't sure what to anticipate, what to expect tonight.
I didn't either. I am very impressed with all 4 teams.
Leighton Varnador, the anchor leg on the balance beam for Utah State, and the final competitor here tonight of this meet.
Front aerial into the beat jump. I'm not sure she will get the connection for that. Again, it goes back to that's part of the subjectivity of gymnastics. If the judges feel like it was connected enough, she'll get it. If they don't, then she won't. There's no real rule.
Dismount for Varnador.
Tuck 1.5 off the side. We don't get to see that very often either.
And that'll wrap up the quad meet competition. The Utah Utes, your champions unofficially of the Best of Utah meet, with another dominant performance, one you would expect from a top 5 team in the country. Again, they score in their 4th and final rotation of 49.175 on the vault. BYU with a 49.075 on the bars. Southern Utah takes a 48.375 on the floor, and Utah State takes a 47.725 on the balance beam. Individuals from each of the teams being awarded.
Utah with an all-around score of 39.4 is Crystal Esau.
Crystal Esau, you can hear the in-house
The most valuable performer
public address
from
announcer,
BYU
congratulating
with an
Crystal
all-around
Issa.
score of 39.275 is Abby Minor-Alder.
Abby Minor-Alder with a 49.275.
And
Finishing
the most
second to
valuable
Issa.
performer from Utah State is Rebecca Wells.
Rebecca Wells receiving most outstanding performer from Utah State
Fans,
specifically.
Let's get a big round of applause for all of our MVPs.
We use the word privilege a lot. It gets thrown around.
Copper Cup Team Award.
But that's the
Please
word of the
welcome
night. It was a
Josh
privilege to watch these
Brown,
outstanding
Director of
athletes
Corporate
compete.
Relations at Rio
Needless to say,
Tinto.
they have gone through just so many emotional ups and downs getting ready for
And
the
final
2021
scores
season.
for
And
tonight's competition.
I was just hoping we would show up tonight and be able to do this.
Yes, and the mental toll that takes on you, just practicing, not knowing if it's for anything, not knowing if you're going to get sent out, that's exhausting. Gymnastics is very hard physically. The mental aspect this year cannot compare.
Here are your final scores as we have received them and been told they are official. Utah with a 196.900 to open up their 2021 campaign. Very strong. Look at the beam and floor specifically for the Red Rocks. BYU with a 195.7. Their floor score originally was a 49.375. There was a late deduction that took that down a tenth to 49.275, but still, Guard Young and BYU will be very happy to open up with that score.
Guard has said repeatedly he is just so grateful every time they get to compete. Obviously he's expecting a lot out of his gymnasts. The gymnasts are expecting a lot themselves, but it's just a different season where they're just going to be grateful every time they get to go to a meet and show what they're working hard for.
The Red Rocks holding up the Copper Cup. Second annual Best of Utah meet. Both won by the Utes. And their fans letting them know their appreciation for their efforts and performances tonight. We will speak with the all-around champion of the meet tonight, Crystal Issa, in just a moment. We'll let her have her time with the Copper Cup. Question is, does she get to take that thing home?
I suspect it will be shown proudly in the gym.
Is it not like the Stanley Cup in hockey where each member of the team gets to take it to their hometown and hang out with it for a little bit?
That is what should happen.
Let's recap what Crystal Issa did tonight to lead Utah Gymnastics. First on the uneven bars. You know, it's one thing to come in with a ton of hype, but then to back it up and then some.
Yeah.
Oh, man. On the floor, Mikkel, huge passes.
Great landings too. It's one thing to be able to do such big gymnastics, it's another entirely to be able to control it. Huge, huge series there with the flick lay.
And finally, the vault from Issa. As Utah scores a 196.9, largely in part to her individual efforts. Our MVP of the meet brought to you by Tim Daly Nissan. Tim Daly Auto Group serving Utah since 1968. So Utah, all things considered, feeling very strong about their start to the season. You see Crystal putting on the headset right now. And Crystal, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I had no reason to apologize. We should be thanking you for an outstanding individual performance tonight, for being here, representing the state of Utah. Congratulations on an all-around win.
Oh, thank you.
Can you just, if you wouldn't mind, walk us through the timeline of the shutdown from last March to this performance in January 2021. What has it been like for you emotionally?
I just remember when Tom first told us when season was canceled, it was almost like none of us believed it. And we had a 2.5-month break where we all did nothing, and then we got the clear to go back in the dump key, and it was really exciting because it was chaotic and none of us knew how to do gymnastics. And now we're here and we're really proud of everything we've accomplished, and we're just kind of taking it one by one and making the best of whatever we have.
Well, Mikkel put it very starkly earlier in saying, I'm shocked that this level of gymnastics is happening based on all of the difficulties that the teams have had to go through. How is a team with so much prestige like the Red Rocks able to navigate through something as unprecedented as this and come out and put up a 196.9?
It is crazy that we did do that, and I'm really proud of everything we've done. But like I said, we're not looking ahead. We're taking every moment in as it is, and we're just making the most of whatever we have and just enjoying it. And even if the season gets cut short, like, we knew we put everything into what we had now.
Crystal, it goes without saying, we're so grateful that we just even got to spectate and commentate on something like this.
Yeah.
We're hoping we'd get here to this moment. Your smile says it all. We thank you for your time. Congratulations on your all-around performance and a great performance from the Red Rocks.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Crystal Issa with us on BYU TV. The Copper Cup is staying with the Utes in Salt Lake City. Again, the final scores: Utah with a 196.9 to win things. BYU in second, 195.7. The Utah State Aggies with a strong finish in their final two rotations, a 194.1. They take third, and Southern Utah with a 193.875. Mikkel, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for coming back to do this.
I'm so excited we were able to come back.
Any final comments before we say goodnight?
You know, I'm just so proud and so impressed. I can't even emphasize how impressed I am that these girls were able to come back. Not one team was immune from the challenges this year, and they have all just really stepped it up.
It has been a pleasure for sure to bring you this quad meet on BYU TV. For the fabulous Mikkel Merkley, I am Spencer Linton. A shout out to our great BYU TV crew for navigating through all of this COVID madness and bringing you live gymnastics. We'll see you next time.